Hello, welcome to Manabil. Here's another little comment on a couple of statements by Bernardo Kastrup, which sort of tells me a lot about his thinking or his lack of thinking and his sort of complete misconception of how things work out in reality. That sort of, understanding of how things work in your experience rather the perfect intersubjectivity of little ripples and super, mind at large, whatever, right? Where he sort of wants to live because that's the perfect life where he can go and be afraid of dying. And rather than trying to understand how things actually work in the, let's say, real world, right? Okay. He's going to comment on, this is from a Ask Me Anything video by somebody called Asking Anything with Jack. And he has been on this, doing this twice. And this is the first one from February 2022. And the question, it's like all the listeners can hand in their questions, and Jack guy will read them out, and then the visitor, in this case Bernardo Kastrup, would answer the questions. And it also reminds me a bit of why I'm sort of reluctant to do this Ask Me Anything, because it usually will not be particularly critical questions about my philosophy or the interviewee's philosophy. It would rather be, what is your stance on this? What is your stance on that? How did you get to do this? How did you get to do that? How what is it living with a wife like that? Or how's the weather in Germany? Whatever, right? Whatever. It's usually sort of stupid, right? And so that's why I'm sort of reluctant to do Ask Me Anything, because it doesn't appeal to the intelligent audience. It appeals to the Dunning-Kruger audience, maybe, right? To be a little, black and white in that kind of regard, I suppose. For simplicity, right? But let's just head directly into it. And the question is, what school of economics do you subscribe to? And do you think capitalism is sustainable, or is socialism the future of humanity? Now, what school of economics? That would be something like, Keynesian economics or Austrian economics, something along those lines, right? He would name drop that, at least to show that he has done some research into economics, right? I would think. And then this false dichotomy of capitalism versus socialism, right? The capitalism is a socialist/communist idea. There is no capitalism. There is no system that capitalism is. If you're talking of a system called capitalism, it is actually socialism. It is a fascist kind of market where there are all sorts of government shit interfering with that market, and then they call it capitalism, right? You wouldn't call it anything if there weren't anybody interfering with it. It's because of the interference it is called capitalism, and because of all the interference, that market is struggling to keep things going. And then those who are criticizing that system they call capitalism, they say it doesn't work sufficiently. No wonder, because all these fucking parasites are interfering with the market, right? And I'll get more into that as we go along, right? Don't want to poison the well here, but let's listen to Mr. Kastrup's wise words on economics.
James the Wise. It doesn't have anything to do with metaphysics. It's more about you personally. So he asks, what school of economics do you subscribe to?
Why doesn't it have anything to do with metaphysics? Metaphysics is underlying all your thinking. It's the base ground floor of your thinking. So everything else you can think about has to be related down to metaphysics. This disconnect is a problem. There is nothing that is disconnect from metaphysics or philosophy in general. It all hangs together. You can't have economics without metaphysics or an understanding of knowledge, for instance, right? And if people say they're not, if they're doing some kind of trade or whatever they're doing, and they say, I'm not doing metaphysics, oh, yes, they are. It's just some kind of habitual metaphysics that they're working from that hasn't been based on philosophy, but just they have gotten used to think that way. But it's still a kind of metaphysics, right? It's implicit in anybody's approach to life. There is an underlying metaphysics, whether they have actually done some thinking about it or not.
And do you think capitalism is sustainable, or is socialism the future of humanity?
I don't know enough of economics to tell you, to give you a definite position.
Okay, so that's a kind of interesting, right? He has been, as far as I understand, if not the CEO of a very big and important company in Europe, producing some kind of, business to business production of chips or whatever for mobile phones and other shit like that, right? That if that company burned to the ground, you wouldn't have mobile phones for the next 5 years or something like that, right? He has been at least a high-flying dude in that company, if not the CEO of that company, right? That is a very important aspect of that market he's participating in, right? That so-called capitalism he's been doing for many, many years, right?
But I will answer a part of your question.
And my point was actually that, so how can you apply yourself to that market without having any understanding of how these kinds of interactions work? What is your basis for participating in that market? And aren't you really interested in the market? Are you just interested in the title and bossing people around or whatever in order to make money, so you can survive on a higher level than most people, or what? You're not interested in that which you're participating in, right? It's like somebody saying, hey, I'm doing philosophy. I'm a philosopher. Have you done any philosophy? No. I haven't read any books. I haven't done any thinking, but I'm participating in philosophy. What? Right? Yeah, I'm participating in the market. No. I don't know anything about economics. No, why would I? Why would I know anything about economics? I'm just participating in a market, which is actually economics, right?
Capitalism as we have it implemented today, I think, is vastly unsustainable.
Okay, capitalism is not implemented, right? That's a fucking fallacy. Implemented? What do you mean implemented? Was there some kind of boss, somebody, with a big horn saying, hey, you should go over there and produce cucumbers. You go over there and produce bicycles. And you should buy that bicycle and you should sell that cucumber. I am implementing capitalism here, right? You have no fucking grasp of what you're saying, right? It's built in to how you frame this, that you have no fucking clue what you're talking about, right? You think it's a fucking system because those people in government sort of take charge of the idea of capitalism as something they implement. If it wasn't because of these parasitical people called politicians and all their friends siphoning off, shit from this market, that it's implemented because they are parasitical. It's like saying if you have a fucking leeches on your arm, that you are creating a system of blood circulation, right? Fuck off, man. Get rid of the fucking leeches and let people trade on their own accord, right? Don't interfere.
Definitely not optimal.
What? Not optimal? What the fuck do you mean, right? What is a market, right? What is a market? A market is I am producing shit that somebody else wants. Or at least I have an idea that somebody might want this shit I'm producing, right? I am not only going to make the amount of carrots that I need, I have an idea that other people might want carrots. So I'm producing more carrots than I need, and then I'm going to say to the other people who want carrots, do you have something I want? Right? Are you saying that I shouldn't produce more than I need? I should just have my own farm and my own shit and only produce what I need. I shouldn't be caring about somebody else, right? As soon as I start to create something that I don't need, I'm creating an economy, right? I am becoming a capitalist because I have some capital, which in this case are carrots, right? But I shouldn't do that. That is wrongly implemented, right? So I shouldn't produce something somebody else wants, because the whole problem is, or the whole benefit I should say is, if I produce an excess of carrots and somebody else creates an excess of cucumbers and we swap, I don't have to produce cucumbers because that guy over there seems to be very good at producing the high level quality of cucumbers that I want. And I'm very good at producing carrots. So I'm producing high level carrots that the cucumber guy wants. And then we will swap. So I will have both carrots and great cucumbers. And the cucumber guy will have great cucumbers and great carrots. Everybody's happy. What is wrong with that implementation? Implementation, as you call it, which is it's not. It's just self-interest. You want to produce something that somebody else is interested in, right? What could possibly be a problem with that? Should everybody just stick to their own and say, no, I'm not going to help anybody else by producing something I'm good at producing, because they are just going to make capitalism and it's not perfect, right? So everybody should just stick to themselves, and everybody should stay fucking poor. Is that what you're saying? What is the implementation here? Show me the implementation, Mr. Smarty Pants, right? What is implemented? Where is the implementation? All I see is some third party coming in and say, oh, you're trading. You have to give me 20% of what you're trading. And I'm thinking, why? Who the hell are you? What are you producing? We are trading. It's a trade between me, the cucumber guy, and me, the carrot guy, right? Who the fuck are you? Are you just going to, just because we want to trade, you're going to steal 20% on each side? Why the hell would I want to trade? You're encumbering my trade business here by just stealing my shit, right? And what are you going to... Oh, you're going to give it to the single moms. Oh, yeah, all the single moms, they need cucumbers and carrots, right? So you're just going to steal them from me, right? Is that it? What kind of implementation? Please illuminate me on this fucking implementation. You are so, this capitalism is apparently so fucking bad, right? It's not perfect. There's some little problem over here, therefore we have to get rid of capitalism, right? Which is basically saying we should get rid of a free market. That's all I can hear, right? There shouldn't be freedom in trade. It should be encumbered, it should be controlled, it should be managed by these angels, these politicians who are always the best people in the world, right? They're never psychopaths. They're never useful idiots. They're never crazy people. They're just, and Joe Biden is just the perfect guy to run everything, right?
But then most systems are not optimal. But in the case of capitalism, it is not optimal to the point that if we insist on it, I don't think civilization will last very much longer. Socialism.
What is he fucking talking about? What is he talking about? If I create some extra carrots and trade them with the cucumber guy and the bicycle guy and the milk guy and the whatever guy, right? Or girl, for that matter. But it's usually guys who does this, right? What's the fucking problem? They're saying also, they're taking a chance with their own resources and saying, I'm going to produce these extra carrots even if I'm not really perfectly sure that somebody's going to buy them. And then I'm just have these additional carrots that is going to rot away if I don't get the trade, but I'm willing to take the chance. I am the one taking the chance with the carrots. And the case is with the cucumbers and the so on. And that is the regulatory free market that makes sure that you only produce what you think you can sell, right? What the government does is interfering and stealing shit from this free market that is balanced free market and saying, I'm going to steal the shit and then I'm going to give you abortions and nuclear weapons and aircraft carriers and walls and, immigration, right? Oh, thank you very much for stealing my shit and giving me other shit I don't want.
I don't know exactly what socialism is. Was the Soviet Union socialist? Communist? I don't know. I'm not an expert.
Oh, you're not an expert. Was it socialist? Was it communist? Oh, so it's like, oh no, but you're fucking sure about this you call capitalism, which you completely got in the wrong throat, right? You've been, victim of feminist propaganda the last 30 years or 50 years or whatever, right? You got this, oh yes, free market, we hate freedom. We don't want freedom. We want slavery to government who have to control everything, right? Tell people what injections they should take, right? We can't have a freedom. Ooh, it gets me anxious, right? Okay, let me tell you a bit. If you're not very knowledgeable about socialism/communism, it's all one big fucking pile to me, right? Fascism. Just put it into the government in general, right? I don't care what you call it. I don't care what you call yourself when you steal my shit. If you steal the additional product I make in order to trade with somebody else, and you steal it, I don't fucking care what you call yourself. You're stealing my shit, right? There's a book called The Black Book of Communism, right? By a lot of authors, edited by Stéphane Coutoir, Carol Bartosek, Joachim Gauch, Jean-Louis Margolin, Erhard Neubert, and others, right? The Black Book of Communism, Crimes, Terror, and Repression from 1997. The Black Book of Communism has been translated to numerous languages, has sold millions of copies, and considered one of the most influential and controversial books written about the history of communism in the 20th century. Right? Let me read a bit here. Introduction, The Crimes of Communism. The introduction written by Couture was the main source of controversy and was acknowledged by Marchamela in this foreword. Couture writes that communist regimes turned mass crime into a full-blown system of government and are responsible for a greater number of deaths than Nazism. You can just lump Nazism in with that. Doesn't matter what they call themselves when they murder, steal, and kill. It doesn't matter, right? My children don't care what you call yourself when you kill them, right? Communism, the defining characteristic of the short 20th century that began in Sarajevo in 1914 and ended in Moscow in 1991, at the end of the Cold War, so to say, finds itself at center stage in the story. Communism predated fascism and Nazism and outlived both and left its marks on 4 continents. Couture goes on to explain what is meant by the term communism in the book. According to Couture, we must make a distinction between the doctrine of communism and its practice. I don't know why we don't have to do that. It doesn't matter if it's a capital C or it's a normal C that starts off the word communism. It's fucking communism, right? It's always the thinking somewhere in a human being and aligning yourself with some kind of ideology, right? regardless of the role that theoretical communist structure have played in the practice of real communism before, it was that the terms flesh and blood communism which imposed wholesale repression culminating in state sponsors' reign of terror. It would be absurd to claim that doctrines expounded prior to Jesus Christ during the Renaissance is sort of a mixed bag of. You have to read it yourself, right? Okay, so let me just go down here, right? Let me show you this one. You can do the reading yourself, right? Estimated number of victims. According to the introduction, the number of people killed by the communist governments amounts to more than 94 million. And this is their own fucking people they're killing, right? This is a low number, I would say. It's probably 2 or 3 times that, right? This is governments killing their own fucking people, the people they are governing, right? The statistics of victims include deaths through executions, man-made hunger, famine, war, deportations, and forced labor. The breakdown of the number of deaths is given as follows. 65 million killed by their own government in the People's Republic of China. 20 million killed in the Soviet Union. 2 million killed in Cambodia. 2 million in North Korea. 1.7 million in Ethiopia, 1.5 million in Afghanistan, 1 million in the Eastern Bloc, 1 million in Vietnam, 150,000 in Latin America, 10,000 deaths resulting from actions of the international communist movement and communist parties not in power. According to Courtois, the crimes of the Soviet Union included the following. This is sort of, is it socialism? Is it communism? I don't know. In the same breath, almost, as you talked about a free market where people use their own capital in order to create stuff they think and hope that somebody else will need and appreciate, right? According to Courtois, the crimes of the Soviet Union included the following. The execution of tens of thousands of hostages and prisoners, right? The murder of hundreds of thousands of rebellious workers and peasants from 1918 to 1922. The Russian famine of 1921 caused the death of 5 million people. The decossacization, a policy of systematic repression against the Don Cossacks between 1917 and 1933. The murder of tens of thousands in the Gulag during the period of 1918 and 1930. The Great Purge, which killed almost 690,000 people. The dekulakization, resulting in deportation of 2 million so-called kulaks from 1930 to 1932. The death of 4 million Ukrainians, known as Holodomor, and somebody has mentioned numbers like 9 million, right? And 2 million others during the famine in 1932 and 1933. The deportation of Poles, Ukrainians, Moldovians, and people from the Baltic states from 1939 to 41 and from 44 to 45. Deportation of the Volga Germans. The deportation of Crimean Tatars. The Operation Lentil and deportation of the Ingush in 1944. This and other communist death tolls have been criticized by various historians and scholars. Any attempt to estimate the toll, they are saying, no, the numbers might not be correct. It's not 1.7 million, it's 1.5 million. Fuck off, right? Do you need to say any more? Okay, so it's just a taster, right? It's just a taster. Show me how many people McDonald's have killed. How many people have McDonald's taxed? All right? What have they actually done? They're taking some piece of bread and some salad and some ketchup and some cheese and some meat and slapped it together and say, do you want to buy this? And in the process, they have sort of given jobs to young people who can start out, working in the market and maybe get to the next level when they get a little older or while they're studying, and they can, finance their life by working for McDonald's, for instance. How many people have they killed, right? But we can't have that, right? No, we can't have that. We should think about socialism, communism, whatever. We need something like that. Yeah. Who cares how many people, millions died, right? We have to crack some eggs to make an omelette, right?
But I can definitely imagine that there are many more than just two options on the table. We've gotten used to sort of dividing the space of solutions for everything in just two
Okay, so that's the dichotomy fallacy, a false dichotomy. Okay, at least he's aware of that, right? But, okay, so he doesn't know much about economics. Okay, so he apparently not sure about whether or not, the Soviet Union was communist or socialist, right? But there were other possibilities based on his lack of understanding of this dichotomy. So what is the alternative based on what? Two aspects he doesn't really know much about, apparently, right?
quadrants, communism or capitalism or democracy or something else, and left and right.
Capitalism is a political system. When you're saying capitalism, is that what is going on out there on this market where people trade? It's not a system. It cannot be a system if there's a freedom to choose. If I can say I want to trade and I don't want to trade, it cannot be a fucking system, right? That's what these academics and people, they don't understand. That people can actually think for themselves. They don't need a fucking system to work, right? Everybody appealing to a system are appealing to somebody screwing around with somebody else's freedom to choose. They want to tell somebody, no, you're not allowed to do that. I'm going to tell you can't do that, and if you do it, I'm going to shoot you. That's what you would appeal to. Right? Otherwise, you just shut the fuck up and mind your own business, right?
Right, and liberal and conservative. Unfortunately, or very fortunately, the world is a lot more complex than that. Things are not restricted.
But what is the world now? Because you have used the term world about that which is outside. There is a world outside. Okay, so is that the little ripples you're talking about? That is sort of a system out there. What, right? You're conflating misusing terms here, right? Mr. Metaphysics, right?
Restricted to only two dichotomous categories. So I think the optimal economic system is something that we should sit, discuss with an open mind.
No, it's not a discussion, right? What would you discuss? What would you produce, right? You don't have to be in a market. You should be free to say, no, I don't want to participate in a market. I don't want to participate in fucking system. Go away with your fucking system, right? Don't sit there and discuss with your open mind. Get the fuck away from me, right? I want to have my carrots and leave me the fuck alone. I'm going to live off of carrots the rest of my life, right? But if you want a more interesting life than just living off of carrots, if you produce more carrots than you need, there might be somebody who wants your carrots and then give you what they have in excess of, right? Why wouldn't you want to allow that? What is the problem? The market is just that. There's nothing more to it than that. That is the market. That is what you call capitalism. And it's a system that doesn't work. Why? If there's something about what you call capitalism that doesn't work, it's because of all those stupid idiots who are mingling and interfering with the free market working as the free market is doing by its own accord. And it's the guy sticking the stick into the wheel of the bicycle and saying, bicycles don't work. Because, yeah, you have to have people sticking sticks into bicycle wheels, and then you're complaining that bicycles don't work.
Not driven by personal agendas or power politics, and come up with a set of rules and values and incentives and discourage.
Fuck off with your rules, right? The best, people cannot imagine what is going on a market, apparently, right? The only way to make sure that the world is working optimally is when human beings take responsibility for it, right? They do that by incentive, taking ownership. If I take ownership of something, I'm interested in that its value doesn't diminish. If anything, I want it to increase, right? Creating a system where people are bossed around, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. That's what they're doing in the communist countries. And they started to kill people because they wouldn't do it or didn't like the way it was done, right? And they created nothing because they didn't allow, if you have a communist system where everybody gets what they need and produce what they can, they are going to say, I'm not going to produce much, but I'm deserving to get, right? So everybody's trying to work as little as possible and get what they think they are deserving. Then you're destroying incentive to create shit, right? In sufficient quality and in an amount that is needed in the market and regulated by natural interaction. It's your ability to say no thank you that regulates the market, right? If you're forced to put your money into a pension, of course you're going to inflate that market because you're forced to participate in it, right? It's the forced participation that is a problem.
That make the most sense, and then what name it will gain, what name it should have, I don't care. Call it X. I don't give a damn what the name is, so long as it is conducive to.
This is the fallacy of these kinds of academics, right? They have lured themselves into understanding there needs to be some, aristocracy of academics who makes sure that the little people are not screwing things up. So we need to have a system. We need to have somebody sitting down and making a panel of smart people who think of systems so shit doesn't happen, right? Yes. Well, you can look to communism for that, because that's exactly what you're asking for, right? And how did that turn out? Go look at the Black Book of Communism to get an idea, right? And the body count is as high as it can possibly fucking get.
Human creativity, to human drive, and conducive to safety, decency, human rights, and a productive overall community life.
What the fuck was that, right? He doesn't understand any idea of what a market really is, right? He's sort of these academics who are sort of circumventing what it means to actually run a business, right? They are working in government-funded universities, and when they're done, they have their PhD, and they jump into some position, 2/3 up in the company management structure, and have their weird university ideas of capitalism and communism, and we have to have a panel of smart people deciding, controlling and managing and regulating, right? They never get to function in a free market scenario, or at least what is left of it, right? It's slowly being strangled, not least by the monetary system, which is communist, right? It's central planning monetary system. Of course the monetary system should be free market. Nobody should tell you what money is. Of course, there's somebody siphoning off values using the monetary system and strangling most people in the world using that. There's no wonder most of the the world is fucking starving to death. Because those who are creating value in what is at this point left of a free market are not allowed to create a system where everybody can rise to a new level of getting away from poverty. Fuck off, man, right? Okay, that's my comment to Bernardo Kastrup and his, insufficient philosophy when it comes to one of the most foundational aspects of human interaction, right? Okay, please share, like, subscribe, give me a comment, consider a donation, links below. Otherwise, see you in the next one. Have a nice day.